Mechabreak has plenty of mechs for you to choose from, and most of us are already starting to have our mains. And while I know you clicked on this video because you want to learn how to play this mech, no, not you, Welkin, get out of the way, sir. This mech, Panther, no, not right now, my friend, not right now. All right, here we go. God dang. Can you guys just get the hell up out of the way? I'm looking for you. Yes, you in the back, right there. Serenith. Yes, you guys want to learn how to play Serenith. Well, in this guide video, I'm going to teach you everything that I've learned playing this mech. Those of you just getting started, those of you that want to get started, I'm going to give you the rundown. That way, when you first hop in, you have a general understanding of what you should be doing, how to play to make your time that much easier. I'm going to start this one off a little bit different. I just want to touch base on a little bit of the stats of this mech compared to some of the other mechs in their, I guess we could say, weight class. So I gathered up some of the mechs that I would consider to be within Serenith's weight class, and we're looking at just primarily the shielding and HP of the mech. And if we take a look at these stats, I put them into ChatGPT to kind of organize them a little bit easier for me. When we look at the HP pool here, Serenith is around a 7, which isn't terrible, but it's still near the bottom. But if we look at the shielding, she sits right in the middle, which isn't that bad. But then if we take them both and combine them, she sits around 6. And so I just bring this up so you get an idea of how much HP she has compared to other mechs. And of course, everyone else that I left off obviously has more HP than Serenith. So now then that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the primary fire. Nothing spectacular going on here. You do have your initial fire, which is 4k damage. If I'm being honest, you probably shouldn't be using this. I would say at least charge it 1 full charge. If you can get 2, that's fine. And I say that because when you launch the full charge, you're at least doing true damage to the red health, right? You're bypassing the fluid armor, and you can do a little bit to their main HP pool, which is pretty valuable to help you kill off mechs a lot quicker. Only use the quick fire shot if you know their fluid shield is gone, they're running away, and you might be able to secure a kill. Then that'll be kind of useful. But for the most part, just charge up your rifle here and then get a lock on and fire it. That way you can get a guaranteed hit, and you know that you're doing not only fluid damage but also HP damage. So you kind of want to be aiming this at all the other mechs that I listed in Serenith's weight class. It'll provide you with more value than shooting a tank. Now, if the tank's being targeted by you and your other teammates, then go ahead, join in and help out. But if it's just you aiming at a tank, you might as well not even waste your time. That then brings us here to our right click, our orbital, which is mainly used for objective control and poking out tanks, while your rifle is more for them little squishy boys. It's worth noting that this skill also does true health damage, which increases the more you charge it. You have 3 stages. Stage 1 is just your initial quick tap. You just click right click and it'll shoot down a quick little laser. That's good when you're trying to chip away and damage people. It's very consistent in terms of hitting people. So you'll charge a rifle, blast them, right click, blast them, right click. So you're kind of doing that back and forth between chipping them that way to whittle them down. Now for tanks, you can hold it a little bit longer. See, what will happen is they think you're going to drop a full charged beam on them. So what they do is they see it, they get up, they dash out. Your fully charged beam doesn't really hit them unless they're an idiot and just want to sit there. But let's say they're smart enough to get up and move, which is what you want to do, displace them. You know, you end up charging it for nothing because they can get out of it before they take any damage. Well, if you hold it just a little bit longer, just to get a little bit more damage in there, right when they get up to move, the beam comes down and hits them. So now you get a win-win. They move, which is what you wanted them to do, but they also did not evade the damage. So that's kind of what you want to do. Light taps for more consistent hitting to whittle them down slowly. Tanks, if they're stationary, you can hold just a smidge longer, get a little bit more of a powerful beam in on them, and while also displacing them. If it looks like they're just going to sit there, then yes, you go for the full-on big old charged beam. Now with this fully charged beam, be careful where you drop it, because as you'll see in this clip, I dropped it on an enemy and my teammate, and as you can see, I got a nice clean double kill. While this skill does do damage, its main purpose is to kind of disrupt at the objectives, right? There are a lot of maps that require you to dismantle, upload, or do something where you press F to interact with an object. Your orbital strike is good to delay them and keep them from taking those objectives, hopefully giving you enough time for your team to arrive and help you guys win a fight. As long as you have visual on them, you can do that. You can also use it through the walls, and we'll talk about that skill later. But that's mainly what it's used for, to disrupt, displace, and kind of be annoying to keep the enemy off the point, keeping them from being able to cap it. I also want to throw a quick tip on this map. If you try to use the orbital on a tank sitting on this moving platform, as you saw, it's going to fall behind it. You kind of want to aim in front of the cart with your cursor so it lands, and then they sit there and they take the full brunt of the hit. Next up is your handy dandy claw skill. This skill allows you to take objectives from a safer distance than all other mechs can, which is really nice. You can even do it behind cover while they're fighting on the point. You can just quickly shoot one in there and sneak it out. But aside from being hit, which will break the connection, even interacting with little weird pieces of terrain can also break the connection. It's pretty stupid. So what I would say is hopefully they can fix that. Use 1 or 2 claws to try to get the objective. If you're being shot at, don't waste your third one, because you do get 3 and they do recharge, I think, every 15-20 seconds, something like that. You want to at least have one on hand to help protect you from being attacked. And that is the secondary part of this skill, is that when it's used on an enemy, it turns their enemies, which is you and your teammates, into friendlies. So they won't be able to attack you. Instead, they will be able to attack their allies, their teammates. So having one on hand will kind of help you if you're being chased down. You can turn lock on. That's another part of this claw I don't like, is that you have to be locked onto them. And sometimes in this game, a Stellaris comes up behind you. You don't have time to lock on them, so you'll turn and try to shoot the claw at them, but it won't go out or it'll miss, which is kind of a pain. You want to be aware of your surroundings so you have enough time to turn, lock onto them, and as they get close, you can then hit them. But it really doesn't do much if your team isn't around to punish those divers, right? As Serenith, you really don't want to be alone. You want to have someone kind of nearby to help you out, because your damage just isn't powerful enough. It's not bursty enough to go 1v1 with someone. However, if someone were to be near you and they dive into your teammates, if you pop that and your teammates are, alive, they can turn and focus fire and really chunk them down pretty heavily. But if no one's around, it's kind of pointless. You might as well just run away, because they're going to be on that ass. Which brings us to our third skill. This is your defensive skill. Now with this skill, it requires a lot of focus, and sometimes you may not have the focus, which means it's going to hurt you in the long run. If you keep this skill up, which I believe is 6 seconds, 6 seconds of not being auto-targeted, you can still take damage. You can still be chased and followed by a panther, right? They could just manually fly towards you. Doesn't make you invisible or anything like that. Just makes it so they can't lock onto you. So eventually, in 6 seconds, if you have it up the whole time, it'll run out and you'll have a 24-second cooldown. That's massive. So the way you actually want to use this skill is you want to quickly toggle on, toggle off. That way the cooldown is as low as 3 to 4 seconds. And what's nice about this is it has a lingering effect of 1.5 seconds. Press the button, it comes on. 1 second, turn it off, or half a second. You'll only have to wait 4 seconds to bring it back on, but you get around 1.5 to 3 seconds worth of anti-lock, enough to maybe dodge out of the way of a Welkin or a Panther charge, or maybe to get focus fire off of you so you can run and hide behind cover. So you're going to constantly be hitting that off and on when you feel like you're being focus fired or targeted. So the way you manage this off and on to take advantage of the short cooldown and the delayed effect will really stand out if you are mastering this mech, because sometimes in the heat of battle you don't remember, like, oh damn, I have that skill on, and then all of a sudden 24 seconds goes out and now you're getting blasted in the back. So definitely work on managing this to keep the cooldown as low as possible, so it's always up when you really need it. And then the last one is the radar. Now I read this and there's some people who are saying no, some people who are saying yes. I can't test it because I don't have any friends to test this with. So maybe if some of you have another friend that you can play with, you can test this in a match. You can go run behind a wall on a map, say, hey, I'm gonna pop this skill, can you see the enemies through the wall? And we can finally get a solid answer. From reading it, it doesn't say anything about teammates. It just says boosts main weapon and sidearm detection and lock-on range. Doesn't mention anything about teammates getting this benefit. But if it does, great. If it doesn't, oh well. I mean, it's still just for you to do your main job, which is disrupt. If the enemy is really far away and they're behind a rock or mountains covering them, you can pop this, hit your right click with your orbital on them once you have them targeted, and that'll disrupt them from taking the objective. You can chase them if they're running away and they end up going behind cover. You can pop this and still try to shoot or blast them with your skill, so it's a good chasing. If someone's weak and they're trying to evade and get out of there, you can still get them through those walls. And that's pretty much it with this skill. Not much else going on there. Does help against certain skills that try to obscure detection, and of course certain environmental things that may go on. For example, the sandstorm map, where it makes it hard, where you can't detect who's enemy and who's friend. Using this skill will allow you to actually see who's your ally and who's the enemy. I'll quickly touch on some mechs that I think are really hard based on my time playing against. Obviously, you'll have your melee champs because they can go right through your fluid shield and beat that ass. So your Welkin is tough. Stellaris is tough because that mech has stealth and a hook to chase you down and beat your ass. It's very tough. Panther can be tough as well. Pretty much those melee ones. And then if we're moving on to a little bit of the range, I will say Lumine is actually kind of hard to deal with because Lumine's damage, I believe the damage can bypass the fluid shield. So your HP is just being whittled down. It's like a dot. And all she has to do is fly around you, and you know, you don't have the damage to kill her before she kills you. So yeah, I've actually been soloed by a Lumine. Guys just like flying all around me. Of course, you know, Namari and the snipers are obviously going to be painful to deal with, but you can kind of get around cover, and using your anti-lock-on makes it a little bit harder for them to hit you. They could still hit you, just a little bit harder. And then lastly, I'll say Aleseness, or whatever the stupid name is. And the reason why this mech's a problem is because it has that regen. So if you were to even damage it to the point where it would die, it'll just come back and chase you down. It has a melee weapon, so it can just continuously chunk through your actual HP. And there you have it. I'm sure there's a couple more little details that I'm skipping over, but I want you guys to get out there and get your reps and get to practice and implementing what you've learned, and then you can be on my level as we climbing up from the bottom to the top. We're gonna be challenger sometime in the near future, and I hope to see you there. But mainly have fun. I still enjoy playing this mech, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Many men wish death upon me.